let me know if you are not understanding. Okay, everyone, you are understanding, right? Meghna, Sri Lakshmi, Vani. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now itself. So we are learning about the wrap reverse. Okay, so this is the flex wrap, right? So we will give some more elements here. So more elements we are giving. See here. So now it is like this. If you want to wrap to the next line, what the property I told you, flex wrap, wrap. So it will come to the next line automatically, and it will move with respect to the window width. It will move like this. Okay, and we know if the responsive designing also automatically built in, it will take, and if required you can add. And we are learning about the flex wrap, and you want a reverse way, right? Reverse property also there. Flex wrap reverse, you can see the last elements were child y, child phi, and then we are given the order, right? If I gave the order, then you can easily understand. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 and 15. So save it. Now check. You need to give the flex wrap, okay, for the parent. Flex wrap, okay. And if you want reverse wrap, then wrap reverse. Now you can see 15, 14, then 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So like this, if you want in a reverse way also, you can get it. And if you want a shorthand property, so we are writing the shorthand property for the border, padding and margin. Likewise for the flex also we can write like this. Suppose you want the flex direction row or column, and you want wrap as well, so that time we have to use like this, flex flow, in which way I want in a row format, row, and I want to wrap also to the next line as well. So this is the shorthand property. Instead of giving the flex direction row and also flex wrap like that, instead of giving that, you can use this shorthand property. Now if you want to align the items like in the center of the container, so we will remove all of this and we'll take, or we will comment it. We may need the more elements for other items. We will comment it. We'll take some elements only so that you can easily understand. Sorry, what is happening? So you can see, now I want these three elements to be center of the parent. So that time we have to use justify content center, so that it will be in the center of the container. You can use this center property. And suppose if you want to align these flex items at the beginning of the container, so by default it will be beginning of the container only. If you remove this now, it will be automatically to the beginning of the container only. But sometimes you want to be decide this elements to the end of this end of the container. So that time we have to use just in the justify content only. By default we'll be having the left, center, end also there. Okay, flex and flex star. Okay, these are the properties, initial, left. So generally we'll be using, so we'll be having the another options also, space around. Space around means it will be, these three divs will be in center only, but the left spacing and right spacing automatically it will take. So equal space between these divs will be there. Sometimes you want that space to the left also, then you can take the another property, space around, space between. So space evenly means what? Left it will be same space, right will be same space, and you can see this element left will be same space, right will be space. If you see this element left will be space will be even and right space will be even. So like this, start, stretch. So we have to remember the 3 to 4 points. So first will be in center. If you want to make that child should be in center of the parent, then you can use a center. End means if you want to align the items to the right side of the container, end. And flex end and flex end both are same. Okay. And flex start and the start, by default it will be start only. So that will be same. And right, space around means you can see here space around this space, here to this one space means space around, left space and right space, then for this left space and right space. So this is not even space. Okay, this around the space is equal, left and right, the top and bottom should be equal, then space around. But if you want even for the three elements, means here the left, here the left, here the left should be equal, so that time you can go with this even. And space between, if you want more space between that elements more, then between you can use space even elements. I already explained you want a more even space in between all elements, that time you can use. So these are the available properties. So space around property means what? It displays the flex items with space before, between and after. You can see before, between and after. So before, here this much space, this much space, and between and after this much space. So that is a space around property. And another items we have in the flex. Yeah. So we have given, suppose a parent container this much and you are giving justify content center. Suppose for the parent I am giving some height as like 500 px, and for the child is I don't want this much, but just I'm giving the height for the child also like 100 px. So now you can see these are center in a horizontal way, but it was not center in a vertical view. So if you want to make it center for the vertical view also, right, what you have to do, justify content center, align item center. So like that you should give align item center property also should give, so that you can see this child elements are exactly horizontally and vertically in center of the page. You can see here to here same space, here to here same space, left and right also. So if you want exactly horizontally and vertically center of that page, then we have to use for the parent display flex justify content center textile in center, this property. Justify content center, height of 500, no, not these three properties is a display flex, justify content center, align item center. So these are the three properties enough to make horizontal and vertical alignment center. So align items. So there are some properties: baseline, center, end, flex start, normal, revert, self end, self start, start, stretch. So you can use what is the requirement for your design. So you can also align with the baseline as well. You know this is the baseline, right? So the baseline also you can have. And suppose you want to change the order. Let's suppose child 1 is there, child 2 and child 3 is there. I want child 2 to be shown at the first. So that time we can make use of this order property. Okay. for this child, second child, you should give like this: order 1. Child 2 we gave order 1, no? And for the child 1 we have to give order 2. So like this: child 1 order 1, sorry, order 2, and for the child 3 I want at that place only. I don't want to change. Now you can see. So I want to swap the child 1 and child 2. So that time we can make use of order property. Instead of changing the HTML template, we can only use this order property to exchange the position of the element. Okay, that is also one biggest advantage of Flex. And perfect center, I already told you about that horizontal vertically center. And we have flex items. Suppose that I already explained, like flex go, flex string, order, flex basis, align self. So those also same. And responsiveness also I already explained you. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. So these are the main CSS topics we already covered. And one more topic is there, grid. So so mostly we'll be using the flexbox only for the responsive designing. And we have another property called grid. So if you want a grid layout, right, grid layout module means it offers the grid based layout system with rows and columns, so that it will be easier to design the web pages without using of floats and positions. Flex also same, grid also same. Without using of floats only we are writing all the things. Okay, but what is the difference between the flex box and grid? So actually flex box like consider either row way or column way, but grid will consider both, like rows and columns. It will follow. Okay, so how we should align these items we will consider. We'll take one example and we will learn. Okay, take one thing, create a new file and close the body tag. If you learn a flex, you can do anything. The responsive designing, you can be perfect in that. Grid and save as type, hypertext markup language, and save. So how we have to give this styles? So first we'll be having the parent container, right? So for the parent container we have to give the styles. So instead of flex we'll be giving the grid here, and we'll be having the columns. So here we'll be having the columns. So we need to specify here grid. So this is the syntax: grid, template, columns. So I want to make the window columns with respect to the window width. So that purpose we can give the auto here. Auto. So we'll give some padding. We already gave, no? So we'll check how it is coming. So we'll open that file. So flex follows either row or column, but grid follows both, like column and row both. So we'll place some more elements. Shall I have missed this, right? And we'll take more items, copy it. So here, remove the comments, save it. Now check, see how it is coming. So if you have to achieve the same with the flex, right, you need to give display flex, flex wrap, wrap. So like that you should give. But with the display grid, it will automatically takes the row and columns as well. You can see with the child 3 ends, it automatically creates the new one child 4. Okay, like this. And it will take how much width it is needed. Control minus minus. Okay, next what is the property available? We'll take display grid. We have display grid and inline grid both. So what is the difference of that? So here you can see it will take the column wise. You can see it is one column, this is one column, this one column, and this is one row, grid row, this is one grid row, and this is one grid row. So like this we're taking, and the gap also it will take the equal with the column gap. Actually we can specify the column gap also, how much gap you need, that also we can give, and the row gap also. So where is the row gap occur? So this is the row gap, this row gap and this column gap, everything we can give. So you can adjust the gap size by using like column gap or row gap or gap property. Okay, now suppose I want to set the gap between the columns, like here, you know, that time what I have to do, for the container you need to give column gap. Column gap, the how much I need, let's say 100 px. See how much gap it is coming in between the columns, that is the column gap. Suppose I want to give the gap between the rows, so instead of column gap you can give a row gap. Row gap means for one row to another row, how much gap you want. Suppose I want both. So for the rows and columns both I want a gap, then gap property you can use. Okay, it includes the row gap and the column gap. Okay, and if you want some row gap to be this much and column gap could be this much, then you can try it out like a 50 px. Give the space. So 50 px means a row gap and 100 px means the column gap. So like this also you can use the shorten property. And we have grid lines as well. So the lines between the columns, these are called column lines, and this you can see this blue color lines, right, when I'm hovering, right? So the lines between the columns are called column lines, and the lines between the rows are called row lines. Okay, and suppose if you want to place a grid item at column line 1 and let it end of column line 3, okay, that time what we have to do for that item 1. So any item, suppose I for the child one, right, I want this grid column start. So these are the available options. I want to start at 1 and I want to end at 3. Grid column end where I want at 3. Okay, like this. I want to start the column line at 1. It is a 1, it is a 2, and end at the column line 3. Before this 3 line, it will end. If you want more also, you can give 4. So it will end at the beginning of the 4th. So like this, you can give the items with how much you want. Suppose I want, it is a like a column wise, right? Suppose I want it in a row wise, the same thing only. I want in row wise, then you can give grid row start 1. Okay, this one, and uh, I want more, like you can give row end. So which is the 4th row? This is one row, it is a second row, and this is the 3rd row, and before the starting of the 4th row it will end. So like this you can specify the how much width of the child, where you should start and where should end also. That is the use of this row start and row end. Okay, and we have columns property, actually template columns, as I explained. So what is mean by template? So here we have used, right, template columns auto. So what is mean by that? So this property defines the number of columns in your grid layout, and it can define the width of each column. So we are give everything auto, means how much width is there, it will take that much column width, and it defines that much item width as well. So the value is like a space separated list where each value defines the width of respective column. So if you want a grid layout to contain the 4 columns, if you specify the width of 4 columns, or you can give the auto if all should be the same width. So if you want a 4 columns, then you should give, you given 3, right? That's why these 3 columns you gave. Suppose you gave 2, then 2 columns is coming. Suppose you want 4, then 4 autos you should give, so that 4 columns will come. So like this, if you want to specify the width of 4 columns, then you can use that 4 auto property. Okay, and suppose I want some width, I don't want equal size, I want a specific width. So that time you can also give, like here you can give 100 px. Okay, and here you can give 200 px, and here you can give 300 px, and last one I'll be keeping it auto itself. So like this, 100 only, child one, no, actually display grid template column will give less 100 200, and here we should give auto, and we'll give some lesser width. Okay, so like this, it will taking the 100, it is 160. So as we have so many columns, it will be like this. And so you can take for like 1 8 or something elements, instead of this much we'll take some 7 to 8 elements only, that we can understand it more better way. So I'm commenting this. Now we will see. So now we have 8 elements only, and this is the child one. So for the we have the parent, display grid, and background we have give, and gap also I will specify how much gap I need. Gap I specify 10 px, 10 px gap, and background color is this, and padding also I'll specify 20 for the parent, and for all the divs I'm giving this padding and margin. And you can see now we have given the template columns of 4, and here it will take the child one up to take it is 100 width, and second one it is takes up to 200, and the third one is auto we gave, right? Instead of auto you can specify some number as well, how much number you want, let's say 300 px, and fourth one I'll be taking as 100. So around 100 it will take, not exactly, you can see here. So like this you can specify the grid template columns as well, and you can specify the column gap along with that, and rows also same. So if you want a rows, right, the same way here you should give the template columns. So equal columns I need, then I have to give auto 3 equal columns, but rows only I need uh, like this. So that purpose you can give grid template, sorry, grid spelling was wrong, grid template, here rows. So how much I need, I can have 20, sorry, 50, 200 px. So like this. So for the parent, display grid and grid template columns auto grid template rows 50 and 200 px, and gap also I am giving. So you can see we have given very less, no, that's why it is looking like this. See, now you can see, you can see the first row is up to 150 width, means that row size, and you can see the second row was up to 200. So you can over on it, and you can see, so child one, so how much we gave, width is 389, height is 1110, so which is near to 150. And you can see child 2 will be same because it is a row. So child 4 start from the next line, okay, which it takes up to 200, where it is taking the 160, it is up near to 200. So with respect to the window width and height, automatically it will take, okay. Let's see, that is the use of this template rows. And we can also have the justify content property, so where we can use this justify content property. So if you want to align the whole grid inside the container, suppose um, suppose like this, so we'll refresh this once, and I'll remove this template columns as well. Auto 3 columns only, I'll leave, save it. See how it is coming. So here also, in the flex we are giving the even space and all that. In the grid also we can give the same thing. So justify content space even, and you can give the template columns as well here. You want 50px, 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 and you want a space in between that cases. Then justify content space evenly. So like this, if you have particular width for the each item and you want a space in between that, so that time you can go with the space around, space between, space evenly. So that time, if you have any doubts, you can call me, or else we can end up our session. Okay, thank you for joining.